Again, we'll shift the story back to Henning. And you'll recall that my instructions to Henning were come up with a product line that will offset our development of the airliners. Because if we were to draw a curve, the airline development takes our involvement way up here. But then as we start into the next cycle, we go through a trough where we have a lot of developers sort of sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And one of the few beneficial things I learned in airline management is that you don't allow people to twiddle their thumbs. So I asked Henning, come up with projects that we can insert into those troughs so that we can maintain an even level of productivity. Henning admitted to me one day, he said, my dirty little secret is, he said, I love vintage airplanes. And so we all got to talking about it. Well, I mean, I'm a huge vintage airplane fan. I've got time in DC-4s and DC-3s. Absolutely love the old airliners. And we got to talking, and Henning said, I've got a contact that will allow us to photo survey an in-operation DC-6 that's hauling passengers on charters. So I said, okay, great. Put it together. And he said, well, it's going to be tough to get to. And I said, why? Where is it? And he said, it's in Namibia. So about 2 weeks later, we had two guys in Namibia. And I knew that we had become a completely different company when I found myself writing a letter that started out, to whom it may concern, the individuals in possession of this letter are traveling in your country on business. This letter was used to get them through passport checkpoints, etc., because there's such a problem with border control in that country that sometimes you can get into the country and then people start to question why you're there. I was glad to hear Henning call me when he finally got back from Namibia to say, we got everything we needed and no, we didn't have any trouble. But this airplane is going to be similar to the J41 in terms of its capabilities. It will be a very detailed airplane. It will have very complex engine management requirements. And, of course, the visual detail, and we're going to continue to work with that. This cockpit is the result of I don't know, was it about 6,000 photos, 3,000 photos, something like that? But yeah, it was about 6,000 photographs of this airplane. When Henning went to upload them to the server that we use to hold all these things, we had to install a new disk because we ran out of space. And when you start to look at the detail work on this airplane, and some of these images are similar to ones that we have posted in our forum. So when you get home, if you want to get a closer look at this, go into our forum and look for the announcement that has these images. And what you'll be able to see is around the edges of the instrumentation, there's a lot of wear, chipped paint. Again, Vin with his fingerprints and his dust. The lighting here was done using similar visual techniques, so the glass actually, or the plastic actually is colored. So when the airplane illuminates, when you turn the night lighting on, it looks like it looks in the airplane. It's a very faithful reproduction. Now, a lot of folks have asked us, you guys make airliners. Why would you do something like this? And honestly, the answer to that question is because sometimes when we come off the airliner development, we need a little bit of a brain break. Airliner development is very, very difficult. Sometimes it's fun to work with something that's entirely analog. There is virtually nothing digital in this airplane. Everything you see here works. So this airplane will present a challenge to pilots that's a little bit different than the type of challenge that the NG presents. This airplane is it's stick and rudder, it's muscle memory, it's knowing how to set power, and it's learning to think ahead, because with these types of engines, you can't just pull the power to idle to slow down. It just doesn't work effectively. So this product we expect will release this year. Exactly when, I'm not going to say, because as you know, we tend not to let that type of information out. So this is what's coming next. I just saw a few of you smile. Thank you. That makes me feel good. This airplane is a personal favorite of mine. I was with the airline that brought this airplane into service back in 1995. It was a matter of pretty significant pride to be involved in that. I briefly managed an operation at United Airlines that was the largest base of 777s in the world. It was our international operation out of Washington, D.C. And so I've got a particular soft spot for this airplane. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of years. And it's been sort of fun for us to watch in our forum the conjecture and the hypothesizing about when will this airplane be released. And it's been fun for us because what we have not told you is how far along this is yet. But naturally, some folks in our forum have gone and looked at our development history, and it takes us, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years maybe to do a full airliner. One of the things that we worked on with, I forgot part of my presentation, I'm sorry. I'll get back to that in a minute. And by the way, we're going to do a little bit of question and answer at the end. And there's a chance that some of you are going to take one of those home. So if you hang around to the end, you'll have an opportunity to win one of those. This airplane is a little bit further along in development than we have led on. And it's a little bit further along because we took some time during the NG development to make certain that we would be able to reduce our development schedule when we got to future projects. Taking 2.5 to 3 years to develop an airliner, that's a business model that doesn't work. It's frustrating for you because you obviously would like the next product. It's frustrating for us because we spend a tremendous amount of time reinventing the wheel for every new project. So we spent a significant amount of time and energy with the NG to make sure that we would be able to bring this product to market as quickly as possible. And as you can see, at least externally, the airplane is very close to being finished. I was told by Jason Brown, who did this model, I was told by him that I was not allowed to show you the airplane from the top because he's still working on the textures on the tops of the wings. So everything you're going to see is from the bottom. But this particular airplane is the 200 LR. The initial package release will include the 200 LR and the 300 LR. We chose those airplanes because they are so similar that it makes for a very simple development exercise for us. We will then be adding the other models of the 777 to the product at a later time. This airplane has 115,000 pounds of thrust per side. Those of you who are familiar with history might recall that the Redstone rocket that put John Glenn into orbit, he was the second man to orbit the Earth, that one had 75,000 pounds. So this is nearly 3 times that amount. Internally, the airplane will have the same level of detail as you've come to expect from the NG. I do want to preface, I'm going to show you some images of the cockpit. I want to preface this by telling you that this is still very much in development. So if you see any errors here, don't panic. We'll get back to them later. Again, the detail level, getting into things like covers and things of that nature. We have raised the detail level even just a little bit further beyond the NG. And I have, when we put these together, on the displays, this airplane is fully functioning as of right now. But we chose to blank the displays simply because we have a lot of test data that we run through the airplane in order to get things lined up, and it looked rather terrible. And my fear was that some of you would see these and say, they've got it totally wrong. We know. So we blanked the displays, so you'll notice that they're all turned off. Except for this one. This is a test display that we put in. I have actually spent the last couple of weeks working with Alex to finish implementation on the graphics for all the displays so that they can start to show you the data from the airplane. And from a development exercise, it's been exciting for me because with the NG, we have to, I have to check all the electrical connections and everything through a debugger. This airplane actually shows them to you graphically, so that makes it quite nice. You can see here there's a little Chinese character in the middle of that. I don't know where that came from either. I noticed it last night when I was finishing putting this together, so apparently this was going to Air China. The FMS in this airplane will model exactly the version that's currently in use in the airplane. This airplane will have, I always get my VNAVs mixed up. It's geometric VNAV that this one will have. It just told me I'm asking the wrong person. Anyway, in the NG, we used a newer version of VNAV, and it really confused some folks. This airplane will have the older version of VNAV, which is far more familiar to most people. We did the newer version of VNAV, and we learned, our technical reps at Boeing, when we were done, they said, you know, there's probably only 3 airlines in the world using that one, right? It would have been nice if they had told us that when we started the NG, but anyway. So this airplane, it's developmentally, I would say we're probably a little bit further than halfway through it. And we do anticipate releasing it this year. Again, detail level, we've raised the bar a little bit. These switches here, this type of switch is called a Cori switch. And it's a very nice, simplistic little thing. It's, they come in 3 or 4 different varieties. You can swap them out, move them around, change them in places. But there's an actual mechanical mechanism inside that switch. And you can see here when the switch is depressed and the switch is on. And then here the switch is out. And there's a little mechanical, it's just a little thing that flips over the top of that on indication to block it from view. And when you push these switches in the sim, you can see the inner mechanical workings of the switch moving. So as you push the switch in, you'll see the window open to reveal the on, and when you push the switch to turn it off, you'll see that little cover rotate inside the switch to conceal the on indication. Additionally, in these switches, you'll notice, it's easier to see here, that there's actually a clear lens over the top of the switch. And that's present in the 777. And Ben, I'm going to tell you in front of all these people that if I find fingerprints on these switches this time, there's going to be trouble. But you can see here the plastic lens or excuse me, the cover, I've got a blank on what it's called now. Yeah, you go. The switch guard has been modeled in significant detail. And although you can't really see it here, there's even a little Allen screw on the end of it that's modeled. And the spring underneath it that keeps it closed is modeled as well. So this project, like I said, a little bit more than halfway through, and we anticipate it will release this year. But then we have a little bit of a surprise for what's going to come after that. We have had a lot of people write to us and offer us opinions of what they think we should do after the 777. And so I'm going to tell you something that nobody outside this room knows, unless they work for PMDG. And so you're going to find out before anybody else. But we have in development alongside this project another airliner that has it entered into development about 2 months ago. And we chose it because it was a development that would parallel this very, very closely. And what we're trying to do is compress the timeline a little bit between our subsequent releases, because we have heard from a few folks have told us that we love the NG, we love the detail level, but you ruin the rest of my fleet because it doesn't have the same detail level. So we're going to give you another twin